So, very good evening, everyone. Today, Wiki Delhi Mentoring and Skill Council has turned up towards our second session on Say No to Sexual Harassment. In the previous section, we got to know many things which Ms. Neha Shirmali ji has told us related to sexual harassment, the purpose of POSH Act 2013, the genesis of this law, and so on and so forth. It was indeed an enriching session at that time, but now we can say that we are looking forward for much more getting into the depth of how this particular session will help us in enlightening about the types and identifications and review of the preventions of sexual harassment. So I welcome Neha Shirmali ji. She is a POSH expert and a trade consultant. Welcome, ma'am, and let's start up with your enlightened words and with this session. Thank you so much.
Sure, Radhika. Thank you so much for bringing me here. And towards taking the session forward, I would just like to have a quick recap, a small recap of what we did in the first session. In the first session, we talk about what is harassment, why is this talked about so much, and what is the genesis of this act. So, why this act came into being and how it became so important and so urgent kind of thing. So this is all we talked about the basis, the genesis of POSH. Now today we'll be talking about the technical aspects of POSH, as in what is exactly considered as sexual harassment, what is gender, and in what scenario does the harassment takes place, and what to do if you get harassed. So we'll be taking forward with the technical aspects of Prevention of Sexual Harassment Act 2013. So let's move forward with today's session. First of all, when we talk about harassment, the first thing that comes into mind is the gender, what it is based upon. Now, generally, the POSH talks about not about men and women, it talks about equality. And equality is brought when women are protected. Yeah. So then only the equality notion can take place. To understand equality, it is very important to understand gender. See, we have always been interchangeably using two terms, that is sex and gender. See, these are two different things. Gender means it's a socially constructed notion wherein we differentiate between men and women basis our preconceived notions. For example, being into gender, like man should move out of home and women should stay back at home and work for kitchen and children, whereas men should go out and earn. Then if it is a birthday of a boy, we tend to give blue colored dresses, and if it's a female a baby girl's room, we tend to give pink color frocks or dresses sometimes. Curtains also, it's like if it's a boy's room, we put blue colored curtains, and if it's a girl's room, we put pink color curtains. Okay, so if it's a boy, we give car, and if it's a girl, we give kitchen sets and dolls. So this is where the gender concept comes into picture, which is totally different from the concept of sex. Sex means the differences that nature has given to men and women. Gender are the differences which are given society. So that is just preconceived notions. And sex is the difference that nature has given to men and women. Okay, these are the biological differences. Can we have next screen, please, Radhika? All right. So when we talk about equality, there has to be equality between both the genders, okay, like men and women. So how equality can be brought at workplace? Because POSH is all about a workplace scenario. So equality can be brought by having equal pay between men and women, having equal participation and equal opportunities. So the point is that females should also have access to all kind of opportunity, career growth, incentives, equal pay, equal bonus, and equal respect, equal hearing in the organization. Next, please. Okay, so why do finally we need equality at workplace? There are basically four reasons to it. First is that it attracts talent. Imagine there's a workplace that only has men or only has women. Yeah. So rather than that, if some organization focuses on having men, we all know that women are also the power. Yeah. So many of the organizations are being led by women, and having women also increases the productivity. Being the talent, they might lose if they become gender biased. Okay. The next is work-life balance. So there has to be a work-life balance in the lives of men and women both, and hence there has to be equality at workplace. Then better performance when they're the both the mix, they have their own strength, their own synergy, because it's like when this is where the natural gifts come into picture, which God has given to men and women both. So of course they have their own synergies. So if they are the performance of the company is synergized, it always leads to better productivity. Yeah. So better performance is one of the reason. Then the reduced expenses. Many of the ways are where it's like there has to be equality so that the expenses of the company, the hiring, the promotion, the trainings can have can the cost can be reduced to it. Next, please. Now, when we talk about posh, there are three things to be considered whether the scenario comes into posh or not. The three clear criteria. Okay. First criteria says that for considering posh, it has to be a woman. For example, if a harassment is done against man, that can get into the HR policies of a company, but not posh. For posh, it has to be the woman who is the victim. Okay, the harassment should be done against women, so it has to be the women. The aggrieved one has to be women by sex. Okay, or gender here. Now, the second pillar, it should be a workplace. Of course, workplace in today's scenario is a very extended term because we have all seen in COVID times that workplace is not confined to the four-walled building of our offices. Rather, it has moved to our home also. So it is very generally said that in the pandemic times or in the workplace or work from home scenarios, it's not only the work that has moved to home, but also the harassment and other problems. Okay. So workplace is a very big thing which we will be discussing now. Now, third criteria, the third pillar of POSH law, yeah, on which the POSH stands is working relationship. Here, it is very important to understand that the harasser and the victim should have a working relationship between them. If it is not a workplace kind of scenario, or if it is not a working relationship, POSH law doesn't stand in those cases. For example, if there is a private party of employees, so a few teammates are getting into a private party, and if something happens there, it will not be considered into POSH because that is not the workplace. Okay. Then working relationship, if a woman is harassed by somebody going on the street or by some relative or by friend, it doesn't come under the POSH. POSH law primarily is created to safeguard women from sexual harassment at workplaces only. Okay. And hence, these are the three criteria. Answer to any one of these is no. In that case, POSH law doesn't stand in the scenario. Okay. We'll be understanding this through a few cases for the further session. Can we have the next, please? Yeah. So to start with, what is workplace? Any workplace where the woman is out for work or otherwise, but with a person she is having a work relation, or workplace is not restricted to the four walls of the office. By this, we mean that if a woman is going out of his office to have to client's place, have a client meeting, of course, strictly with the work purpose, or maybe that is a quarter party or an annual party organized by the office, some office meeting, some office party, some client or vendor meeting. These are some of the things where which is considered as the workplaces. Okay. Sorry. Next, please. All right. Now, when we talk about POSH Act, there are basically four players that are working. Okay. Now, one has to be the aggrieved person. Aggrieved person means the person who is being harassed. Of course, a woman. Okay. Now, respondent. Respondent means the person who is harassing, the harasser one. Now, there is one thing to note, that the respondent can be male or female, both. This is a very important point to be noticed. It is not necessary that the harasser is man only. It can be the female or the transgender as well. Okay. Now, the third is employer. Employer plays a very important role because when there is some query, employer first of all is there to prevent sexual harassment at workplace. So the employer is responsible to take so many actions there. And the second is that when there is a query and internal committees give their recommendation, it is the employer who has to work on those recommendations. Okay, he is responsible to take actions. Okay. Now, the fourth pillar and one of the very important pillar is the IC committee, who is actually responsible for the posh environment in the organization. Okay. Well, now, IC committee is the one who takes care of internal queries, which is responsible to create awareness between the employees, which is responsible to guide and assist management in the posh cases, and of course counsel the members, counsel the respondent and the harasser. So sorry, complainant and the respondent. So IC committee also has its own set of responsibilities and powers both. So it's a very, very strong pillar is IC committee. Next, please. Now, talking about the one of the pillar that was women. Now, what all women do come under the purview of POSH? Let's take this into the detail. Aggrieved woman can be any who is working somewhere. Now, she can be working in terms of not only the white collar corporate jobs, but there are many such fields that are covered by working, because working woman is a very, very broad aspect. Okay. So to deal with, let's see what exactly working woman constitutes to. First, she can be a domestic worker. Domestic worker means the household maids that are working in our home, the labor, the daily wage earners, they can be, or somebody voluntarily who are supporting for a cause. Direct, or there can be through agent, like the outsourced parties or the third party employees. Okay, they can be the regular employees like we have in our day-to-day offices. They can be temporary working, and they can be ad hoc. They can be contractual trainees, or they can be apprentice. Even the freelancers are covered under POSH if they feel harassment, having somebody working relationship into, and being harassed when they are with the purpose of work. So this is something very important to be noticed, that any woman who is out for work is covered in the purview of aggrieved women. Need not be the white collar job working in a corporate. Okay. Now, the second criteria covered is visiting a place. Any woman who is visiting a client's or a vendor's office, or having a client meeting or vendor meeting into some restaurant, a coffee shop, or having meeting at any of the place. Now, since it is for purpose and the person whom she is meeting with has a working relationship, because they are meeting with the purpose of work, that is covered under POSH. Okay. For example, I being a consultant, I am not working I'm not in a payroll of a company, I'm not into a job. I being a consultant, if I'm going to meet some client, maybe over a coffee or at his own office, that is not my workplace but his workplace, that I am being protected by Posh. Okay, so it is not necessary that that the women who are into job or into white collar corporates are only covered into it. So it is irrespective of the criteria, because daily wage earner and domestic worker up till the management and bosses of the company, the CEO females of the company are all taken care of by this act. Okay, now the third criteria that is covered is the student. Now, any female student above 18 is covered under POSH. If the female student is below 18, it is considered as child and is covered under POXO Act, okay, which is for the sexual harassment faced by children. If the girl is above 18, she comes into POSH, and this scenario is in the colleges and universities. Okay, so the school children are into POSH, and the college students and above are into POSH. Okay, right. So next, please. Now, as I said, workplace harassment is a very, very broad concept. So let us see, these all are the places that are covered into workplaces. Okay. So the hospitals and the nursing homes, sports or institutes or facilities, dwelling houses wherein our maids are working, transportation provided by the employer. Now, this is very important point. If a woman is going for a work to meet somebody for work purpose through company transport or through any transport, and if something happens there with if some colleague, if she's going with some colleague, and if something happens over there, that is covered under POSH. Next, please. Now, any place visited during the course of employment, please make a note of it. Any place visited during the course of employment, organized and unorganized sectors, both are covered. Now, for organized, that is like where the organization, where the employee, they have 10 or more employees, they have IC to sort out their POSH issues and to be taken care of. And if it is unorganized sector, there is local committee that comes into picture and safeguard females like daily wage earners, so they don't have a organized sector of laborers, okay, of workers. So that is covered under unorganized sector. Now then we have government organizations. Needless to say, that is self-explanatory. And then private sector organization like the corporate and the private sector offices we have. Okay. Next, please. Now, workplace, then coming to office parties. Office parties, if done by office only, in office parties means they are the parties given by organizations, not the personals. No, off-site events. So there are some off-site events like award functions or something like that. So they are covered. If some female colleague faces some harassment in some event function or award function or something R&R kind of thing, that is covered into POSH. Now, outbound training programs, client meeting, client training sessions, travel for office purpose, and any place where she visit during the course of employment. These all are covered. And now one more thing extended, that is home. So if she is working from home, that is also covered under workplace. Okay. Next, please. Now, who is employer? When we were talking about the 4 pillars of POSH, 4 important aspects of POSH, we saw employer also there. Now, who is employer? Employer is a person who employs or benefits from the employment. Okay. Now, workplace of central or government, state government, or local authority body can be the employer. Head or the state officer specifies. Okay. A private workplace. What do you mean by private workplace? Means a private offices. The person responsible for management and supervision and control, that is employer. And a dwelling house. When we talk about dwelling house, that means if a maid working in our home, we are the employers for her. So we are also responsible for her protection and her safety, being her employer. Okay. Next, please. Now, looking forward to the definition of sexual harassment, what is harassment? Why is it considered as harassment? Well, any action or any behavior that is welcome is okay. That doesn't come into harassment. But any action that is not welcome by the other person, not agreed by the other person, if she doesn't happily accept it, that comes under unwelcome action. And sexual harassment actually is considered by the unwelcome actions or behavior by the person. Okay. Now, when we say welcome, that means if you're through your behavior, the other person feels good, they reciprocate to your behavior, you are in control, and that is wanted or appreciated, and the other person feel happy, and if this is a legitimate behavior, yeah. So that comes under welcome. When we talk about unwelcome, that means if the person is not feeling good about it, feels bad, that is one sided, wherein I don't reciprocate. If somebody pings me a hi and I don't reciprocate it, then this could lead to harassment if done in repeated basis. Okay. Now, feels powerless. The person harasser may be dominating the other employee. That is unwanted. Something I don't have that kind of gelling relationship. Yeah, so that can be unwanted. Demeaning, that makes me look down. Okay, causes anger or sadness or is illegal, illegitimate. These kind of behaviors are coming into the category of unwelcome behavior, and hence they lead to sexual harassment at workplace. Next, please. Now, as per the legal definition that is given in POSH law in the Constitution of India, the sexual harassment constitutes basically of these four actions. First, showing pornography or other offensive or derogatory pictures on cartoons, sexually colored remarks. Yeah, if somebody is making any absurd remarks having of sexual nature, okay, or any other unwelcome physical, verbal, or non-verbal conduct of sexual nature. Please be mindful of this point. This says that any kind of unwelcome physical, verbal, or non-verbal conduct of conduct that have sexual connotation into any kind of harassment doesn't lead to POSH. I repeat, any kind of harassment doesn't lead to POSH. That has to have a sexual connotation into that kind of harassment. Okay. Now, physical contact and advances, a demand or request for sexual favors. Okay. So everywhere there is sexual, the common word into it. That means, for example, a female employee hasn't met her target at the weekly meetings, okay, and she's been scolded by her manager to stay back and complete her work this weekend because they have to submit it on Monday. They have to create a report on Monday. Now, if the female colleague makes a posh complaint that is being harassed by her manager, I'm sorry, this will not come under posh. So this will be, this will be curtailed into the very first meeting that this doesn't come into posh. Why? Because this is need to be done to work get done. Okay, so this has no sexual connotation. Whereas if a female colleague is asked to stay back, after everybody has left and in the late shifts, and she feels that there is some intention of sexual connotation into it, why the manager has asked only her? So if she feels there is something related to sexual connotation, only then it will come into POSH. Okay. So now if she is not happy with the manager's behavior just for the work related issues, she can go to HR and complain for it that she is not liking this kind of harassment and she's facing mental harassment into it. But this will not fall under POSH. So HR can take care of it under the code of conduct policies or something like that. But not posh. Okay, please next. Now, why somebody is into harassment? There are various reasons to it, and any combination can work into this. So, one or a combination of many reasons can fall into this. Now, maybe somebody out of power is doing this. There can be male dominance into it. The reason can be superiority or insecurity, some kind of. Then opportunities. People are looking for. There are people pretty opportunist and maybe easy target. They are looking for the females who are easy target, or popularity in society, influence in the organization, or they can have sexual desires. Right. Next move, please. Next, please. Can we have next screen, please? Yeah. Now, there are certain ground rules of sexual harassment. So, before considering a case, we need to understand what can constitute POSH. First, the first thumb rule of POSH is the impact it is that is important and not the intention. Many of the cases, males, when trapped, they give the explanation that I didn't intend to do this. I didn't know she will feel offended. I didn't have any such intention. That was just that was just a joke or something like that, or something to lighten up the mood. But this is not the fact, dear friends. It is, if the female has felt offended, that means the harassment has taken place. Okay, the feeling of the complainant is important. Whatsoever has been the intention, it is the feeling of the complainant. If she feels that there was some sexual connotation, she can go for POSH. Now, what happens whether it is there or not, but whether actually the harassment has taken place, this is the job of IC committee to decide through the queries. And on prima facie level, if she's feeling harassed sexually, she can raise a POSH complaint. Okay. Such actions that make the female uncomfortable, and any action, gesture, word, or look which has sexual favor amounts to sexual harassment. So can we have the next screen, please? Now, how can the sexual harassment take place? So there are basically 4 ways into which the sexual harassment can take place. First is the written one, okay? Then the verbal one in the visual form or into the physical form, okay? That means touch or something like that. The written one constitutes like, writing emails or writing messages and WhatsApp and writing chits or some letters or something like that. Verbal is saying somebody to someone, and visual is like showing pornography or having wallpapers or having sexual connotation into it. Or if on webinars, wearing such kind of t-shirts which has something that make the female colleagues uncomfortable, or in the background, something like that. So that is visual. And the physical is like when you directly touch. Okay. Next, please. Now, these are the explanations of them. Verbal, as I said, if it is sex-based jokes somewhere. Now, there is a passive harassment kind of thing also. Now, what is passive harassment? A male employee is not telling something of this nature directly to a female, but if 2 males are talking and sharing some kind of gestures, comments, or sex-based jokes, or dual meaning one-liners or something like that. And if a female is sitting by and she hears and she feels uncomfortable, even that constitutes POSH. She can go and file a POSH complaint. Next, please. Non-verbal means staring somebody and looking up and down and not in the direct eyes. So the right way to look to when we talk to a female person is that the man should look directly into eyes and nowhere else. Okay. Next, please. Now, visual is like posters, drawings, and pictures shown or emails of sexual nature. Next. Physical means, blocking movement or trying to touch, trying to kiss, trying to hug somebody, or, touching inappropriately anywhere. That all constitutes into the physical form. Next, please. Now, non-sexual nature. The non-sexual nature may also conduct sexual harassment. How? Now, this can conduct sexual harassment if the harassment is done on the basis of gender. If you remember, I initially in the session I said that harasser can be male and female both. Now, when we talk about female, that can be if the discrimination or the harassment is done on the basis of gender. For example, if it is a female boss or a male boss and they say girls can't do this, girls can't do that, this is a project, very important project, I want to have males on this, I don't want females on this. So if this kind of statement is heard by a female or is felt by a female, she can go and have a posh. So it doesn't need to be sexual, core sexual, it can be a gender bias statement also. Okay, if the harassment that is due to just work and some bosses scold the employee, that is okay, that is not a posh, of course a harassment but not a posh. But sexual, the posh cases, two scenarios are responsible. One, the harassment has to be of sexual nature. Second, if it is non-sexual nature, it has to be on the basis of gender. So these are the two conditions that makes harassment a posh case. Okay, next please. Now, this is again very, very important. There are basically two forms of sexual harassment. Any kind of harassment it is, in any form it is done, they will eventually fall in these two categories. Okay, next please. Now, what is quid pro quo and hostile work environment? These are the two forms in which the harassment is done. Okay, now, so quid pro quo means some kind of this for that kind of thing. Okay, do this, else I'll do that. So this forms into quid pro quo. This can be some kind of threat also. For example, can you have a tea with me in the tea with me in the evening? You know your promotion is coming. Yeah. Now, second example, can you go on a date with me? I hope you remember we have to discuss your promotion if you are known. So promotion and all discussed are at the workplace. No, why do you need to go on a date or something like that? But that is an indirect kind of threat that you know your promotion is coming. So now tell me, can you go on a date with me? It is obvious, yes. Okay. Now, the second is hostile work environment. In this kind of this is the kind of form, this kind of harassment that is very, very difficult to identify, difficult to justify. Okay, because there is no clear cut word or message into it. It is just that they create some hostile and intimidating environment, an office and work environment, and they can do humiliating treatment which can affect the female's health and safety. And simultaneously, it becomes very difficult for the female to identify it and also to justify that, okay, this is, the manager can say, okay, this is the need of the hour, this is the need, this is a business need. But behind the curtain, this is happening because he is not getting any kind of sexual favor from the female, and that is why he creates a difficult situation for the female to work. Now it is for her to understand that why this is being done and act accordingly, either surrender to him or make a posh complaint. So this kind of environment is this kind of harassment is very difficult to justify. So if some female is facing hostile work environment kind of, she has to be very, very vigilant and should be very concerned about creating proof about every situation where she was humiliated, so that she can justify this kind of harassment. Because it is really, because quid pro quo is very easy to justify to the IC committee, to court, or to management that yes, she is facing the sexual harassment. But in hostile work environment becomes very, very difficult to identify and to justify and make your point to the IC committee. So the woman has to be very, very strong in collecting proofs and witnesses what kind of harassment she is facing. Can we have next, please? Now, looking at the today's scenario, we can see it's the internet harassment. Okay, what is internet harassment? When you get some kind of offending message, some email, then you see something on the webinars, because it is work from home culture, work from home scenario, and hence it is very important to talk about the internet harassment now. In the traditional POSH awareness program, this topic was not much covered because we didn't face this kind of environment. The companies, the employees didn't face this kind of environment more because it was all office premises and things were happening in the office premises. But I must say the law has been very, very intelligent that it has covered the clause of internet harassment under the internet section into it. Okay, so law has taken care of all the aspects what could be there. Now, next, please. So every one of the three women suffer mental stress due to harassment on Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, and global. This is a global survey. Okay. Now there are a lot of kind of harassment being faced by women. This is just a small statistics. Okay. Now there are so many abusive and insulting languages. They are reported by 59 of those who surveyed, and there had been deliberate embarrassments, body shaming, and threat of sexual violences also on the internet. Please, next. Now, while I was looking onto having the content on virtual harassment, the kind of content that I came across on Google and all, it really had goosebumps. I really had goosebumps to on my skin. With the kind of rape threats and the death threats coming on the commonplace on the internet, this was really, really very, very terrifying. So now, if this virtual harassment is done on workplace, what can be the consequences? What can be the impact on the employees? And it is not that it's not happening; it is very well happening. Next, please. Can we have next? This is the same statistics that we have been talking about. Next, this is the data of some city. Okay. Now, work from home brings sexual harassment to home as well. Okay. Now, how it is? These are the 5 ways, ideas that they can have that the females have been facing sexual harassment in today's scenario. Okay. It is like employees showing up shirtless to the virtual meeting while there is a lady manager or lady colleague. So this is something very, very important why men should also be there in a session. Okay. Employee takes screenshots of the female colleagues. Attend an impromptu 11 p.m. meeting. The meeting was not scheduled, but some at off late timings, the meetings are scheduled on the odd timings after the office hours. And the female is asked to get on the camera, switch on the camera. This is a harassment. If she's not comfortable and if it is not a work purpose, and despite that she's being forced to get on camera, that is a harassment. Now, and when she logs in, she finds him intoxicated. The person is badly drunk, the manager or the employee is badly drunk, and then she's forcing the female to get on camera. Clear sexual harassment. Next, please. Now, what constitutes virtual harassment? Virtual means sexual harassment that is made online. Okay. Now, a person making sexually colored remark while on call or messages. Now, we remove his clothes during the video call, repeatedly calls a female person, or he sends a lewd messages and videos, or touches himself during the video call. Yes, my dear friends, these are the situations that are actually being faced by female in these COVID scenarios, in these work from home scenarios. Maybe they were under the carpet earlier and not much talked about because the work from home scenario was not so popular. But during these pandemic times, it has become the flavor of every company, the culture of every company, every organization, and majority of the employees are working from home. And hence, this issue has now become the burning issue and has cropped up and become so much visible. Next, please. What constitutes, we have already talked about. Please, next. Now, if somebody is facing an online harassment, this is about the general harassment, even if not the colleagues. This is like not to respond the perpetrator. Okay, please do not respond. Now, then copy the URL of the web page or the screenshot. Call and email the website operator so that the content can be removed, and then file the complaint with your local police station. Now, in your organization culture, when it about IC committee, it is a posh case. Please inform it to the IC committee members. Okay, and now avoid posting stories about your personal life. No outdoor trips with your husband. No personal events with your children, your parents, your own outings and your own events. No personal life. You do not know, dear ladies, which two eyes are watching you. Okay, so please be very, very vigilant about what you are posting on your social media group. Okay, next, please. Now, what should I do if I'm facing sexual kind of harassment? So, before filing the complaint, take as many screenshots and recording as of the conversation as many possible, and then the women employee must then approach to the internal committee. So, these two steps are the most important steps. Please take screenshots of whatever things you are facing, and then approach to the IC committee with strong proof. Okay. Next, please. Now, these are the case study. I'll after discussing so much of POSH and the forms and technical information, let me just talk about the scenario. Now, there is a daily wage worker at construction site and having small child of 10 months with her. Now, during the working at the site, sometimes she takes a break and breastfeed her child in the corner. Now, B, there is another male worker at the same site and he always roam around her during the time she's feeding the child, looks at her with a cunning smile and what makes her uncomfortable. Now, looking at his behavior, the other workers at the site started commenting, bullying, whistling on her anytime she passes near them. Now, in this scenario, this is the unorganized sector, and hence this lady is also protected under POSH because she is working. Okay, she's a daily wage earner, a mason, and hence she's covered under POSH. In this case, she can go to LC and get asked for protection. Next, please. Now, this is something very important. A big multinational company headed by a strong and dominating female CEO. She was attracted towards a talented male employee of the company, and certainly working under her. She called him in her chamber and asked for sexual favors. In turn, offered him protection with the promotion. In turn, offered him promotion with a huge jump in the salary package. He refused and filed the complaint against her. Now the question is, can he file a POSH case against her? Well, to answer this, I must clarify the situation that no, he cannot file a POSH case because looking at the three criteria that we talked about initially in this presentation, the complainant has to be a female, okay? And here the case is against a female, wherein the harassment is done against male. So of course he can go to HR and ask the protection under the code of conduct policies, but not POSH. Okay. Next, please. Can we have the next? Okay. So in short, when we talk about harassment, so till now, looking towards all the aspects of harassment, we can funnel to the four major points that constitutes harassment. First, unwelcome. Any behavior that is unwelcome in nature constitutes POSH case sexual harassment. Okay. Now, if it is sexual in nature or else based on gender, that comes to workplace harassment. Third thing is a subjective experience. As I said, it is the impact that matters and not the intention. Okay. So it is very important if the female is taking it as a sexual connotation, feels the sexual connotation, that is POSH case. And it is the impact, not the intent, that matters. As I said right now, the experience can have the interpretation of certain behavior can be different for all, but it is the impact. If the female has been offended, whatever the interpretation others might have, she has all the rights to go and file a complaint. So this is what talks about the workplace sexual harassment. Next, please. Okay, so this is module 3, and we are done with today's module. Can we have on the previous screen, please? Can we get on the previous screen, please? Okay, so this is the module that we'll be discussing day after tomorrow in our next module. So that's all from my side right now, wherein we talked about what constitutes sexual harassment, what are the forms, what are the types, and the scenarios that constitutes harassment, and what is the internet harassment. That is what we talked about in the today's session. So I hand over this program to Radhika again, and that's all from my side for the today's session. Thank you. So Radhika, please take over the program.
All right. It was again an enriching session, Neha. And indeed, I am so obliged that we can able to conduct this kind of a topic, which is highly, highly important for each one of us to know in today's scenario. Can I have just 2 questions? Can I ask,
Please.
Neha?
Sure, please.
Okay. Who all actually constitutes under IC committee?
So that is what is coming in the module 3. Do you want me to discuss this right now?
Like, I just wanted to know the points. Baki, we can discuss it later also.
Okay.
But just who was there?
Okay. So IC committee is basically from 3 to 8 members it has. And out of 3 is the minimum one. And for one, there is a presiding officer who heads the IC committee, and that has to be a woman on the leading position in the organization. Then there are 4 other employees, and one has to be the external member. External member means who is not the member of the organization, who is not the employee of the organization. And the external member is not to be a lawyer. Lawyers are never a part of IC. There is a big confusion that okay, having legal background, they would be helpful in IC. But this is a strong mandate that there should be no lawyer in the IC, because it is not a IPC, it is not a criminal remedy, it is a civil remedy, and hence lawyers are prohibited in IC committees. Now, the external member should be somebody who is experienced on the cases of women empowerment and the challenges faced by women. So, and he should have the strong knowledge of POSH Act. So this can be the external member. Rest 3 can be a mixture of males and females, and of course there has to be male also in the IC committee. And it is advisable, strongly advisable, that there should be generally 5 members in the IC committee, or whatever the number is. It should be odd in numbers, because there are certain scenarios wherein the IC members need to poll. So it becomes easier to decide and have a conclusion when there are odd numbers in the IC committee. So that's the brief about IC.
Okay. So thank you so much. The another question is that if we are specifically talking about the female harassment over here, in case of transgenders or in case of men, now they have to approach, as what I understood is that they can approach to their HR committee, and then HR would take action on it, right? Or there is any other law also which is protecting specifically males and transgenders on it. Because nowadays transgenders are again a segment of population which is working now, and there are some industries which are actually allowing them to work in their premises.
True. Now, males and transgenders are 2 different aspects. First, we talk about males. We have already said that if the harassment is done against males, there is no such law, but yes, there is a criminal remedy which deals with the general kind of sexual harassment issues. Or when in organization, they can talk to HR, and this can be taken under the code of conduct policies by HR, but not the POSH. So males cannot approach for POSH. Now, second thing comes transgender. Now, here is the catch, okay? The transgenders who identifies himself or themselves as a female, for example, they says karunga, karungi kind of thing. So if they talk about using the adjectives as females, they can go for posh. But if they identify themselves as male, like say they karunga ya karunga, of course, jaunga, karunga, and all that. So if they identify themselves as male, the same formula of males apply on them. So transgenders, it is subjective that how they identify themselves. Though this is all about transgenders.
All right. Okay. And my last question is, I'm sorry I'm taking and asking a lot of things.
No worries. That's what we are here for. Please tell me.
The last question is that if imagine a situation wherein the female went with the boss or the different colleagues outside station, okay, and over there in the hotel during the evening time, she felt that her boss is actually harassing her. So will it be considered under posh? Because that is not this place or neither the meeting place.
Yes. So now this is where again we fall to the second and third slide that talks about the three pillars of posh. Okay. So first is that it is a woman the one victim is the woman. Yes, it is posh. Second criteria says that they have a working relationship. Yes, this is a posh. Now the third criteria depends on what is the purpose of going for the outdoor meeting. If there is some personal outdoor kind of meet, that will not be considered into posh because the third criteria of the third pillar has not been justified into it. But if they are going for some client meeting, some event award, or any such business purpose, and if there something happens in the hotel, yes, that will be covered into posh. Because the purpose of the trip is business.
To extend this particular case, imagine somebody is filing a complaint which is including all these three criteria, but as a kind of what we can say record, that person actually able to prove that on a particular day we went outstation and then he actually harassed me in the hotel. Will it be considered as a record or not even a record also?
Why not record? Because this is a scenario, no, where the harassment took place. So it is a file that is prepared for every posh case. A report has been written that what was the scenario. So this will be the first line in the complaint itself, that what was the scenario where the thing happened. So this will definitely be in this scenario. An entire file will be based on this scenario only. So this will be in the document part. Yes.
Okay. So if somebody is actually filing a complaint wherein all the three criteria are met, that it should be women, it should be a working relationship, it should be an office place or workplace. But during that event, जो एक बार हुआ, that is okay. But उसके basis पे file हो गई complaint. And as per the proof, there has been written that on that day also, this person actually harassed me in the hotel. So that is considered to be one of the proofs which is being related to harassment, and she can apply for it, right?
Yes.
Okay. And is there any kind of timings also? Because these days, if we are talking about call centers or any other industry which are working on odd hours, or probably we can say night hours or night shifts.
No, there are no timings for this. Of course, the webinar or some call kind of thing is harassment is taking place after the scheduled timing or the office hours. If it is a harassment only then, because otherwise when it is work from home scenario, employees do talk after the scheduled office hours also in this workplace scenario, work from home scenario. But for posh, there is no specific timings. It's just that purpose and relationship. If it is a work purpose, if it is business relationship, that's it.
Okay. Thank you so much, Neha ji. Any other question? Anyone they can ask? I have actually taken a lot of time.
That's okay. Maybe you'll be helping so many of them.
Yeah, I probably hope so. We can able to help anyone else. Okay. So I suppose there are no questions further. Thank you so much, Neha. It is absolutely an honor to get into the details of this particular act and this particular thing. We are greatly looking forward on 9th of May at the same time at 6 to 7, wherein we will be covering the section 3rd of ours, which is related to complaint and redressal process.
Yes.
So greatly looking forward towards it,
Sure.
Neha. And thank you so much once again for enriching our experience with this particular topic.
Thank you. The pleasure is all mine. So I'm happy I'm able to help so many
Very
people.
well explained, beta. God bless you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, ma'am. I'm glad that I can help so many females, which has also become, my purpose of getting into this kind of profession after being into corporates and all. So now I'm happy to help if I can do something for women.
Very good, very good.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Neha ji. And let's conclude this day. Take care. Bye bye all.
All right.
Hope to see you soon on 9th too.
Sure. We'll be there. Okay. And taking this session forward. Thank you so much.